A single mom missed her flight to help a lost old woman find her way. She thought that was the end of it, until she discovered the woman was a Mafia boss's mother, and he wanted to thank her personally. One act of kindness had just rewritten her entire life. Maya Chen pressed her phone against her ear, trying to hear her son's voice over the chaos of Terminal C. Mom, did you remember my science project poster board? It's in the hall closet, baby. Mrs. Patterson next door has the key. She'll get it for you. Maya glanced at the departure board. Her flight to Seattle was boarding in 20 minutes. Gate C, 47. Listen, I have to go. Be good for Grandma, okay? I will. Love you, Mom. Love you more. She ended the call and hefted her carry-on over her shoulder, navigating through the Thursday afternoon crowd at Philadelphia International. The airport smelled like coffee and stress. Maya had exactly 18 minutes to grab something resembling dinner and get to her gate before a small, desperate sound stopped her mid-step. An elderly woman stood frozen in the middle of the concourse, turning in slow circles like a music box winding down. She wore a cream-colored coat that had seen better days, and her white hair escaped in wisps from a silk scarf. Her hands trembled as they clutched a worn leather purse. People flowed around her like water around a stone. Nobody stopped. Maya checked her watch. 16 minutes. The old woman's lips moved, but Maya couldn't hear the words. She took a step forward, then hesitated. She couldn't afford to miss this flight. The conference in Seattle was her first real chance at a promotion. Her boss had made that crystal clear. Single mothers didn't get second chances at Jensen and Associates. The woman turned again, and Maya saw her face clearly.
Panic. Pure undiluted panic.
Damn it, Maya whispered and walked over.
Ma'am?
Are you okay? The woman's eyes locked onto Maya's like a drowning person spotting a life raft. Her accent was thick, Italian maybe, worn smooth by years in America. I don't know where. Her breath came in short gasps. My son. I need my son. Okay, it's okay. Let's just breathe for a second. Maya gently touched the woman's elbow, guiding her toward a row of seats away from the foot traffic. What's your name?
Rosa.
Rosa Marino. The woman sank into the chair, still clutching her purse. I had his number. I wrote it down, but I can't. She fumbled through her bag, pulling out receipts, tissues, a rosary with worn beads. It's gone. Everything's gone. Maya crouched down to eye level. 12 minutes. Rosa, where are you supposed to be? Which gate? I don't know. They changed it. I got confused. Tears welled in Rosa's eyes. I shouldn't have come alone. He told me not to come alone, but I wanted to surprise my sister in Boston, and now You're going to be fine, Maya said firmly, though her heart hammered against her ribs.
She pulled out her phone.
Do you remember your son's name?
Dante.
Dante Marino. Maya typed the name into her phone's search bar, expecting maybe a Facebook profile or a LinkedIn page. What came up instead made her freeze. Alleged crime boss Dante Marino spotted at federal investigation into Marino family. Untouchable. How Dante Marino evades. She looked at Rosa with new eyes. The expensive coat that looked worn wasn't old. It was understated. The worn rosary had beads that caught the light like real pearls. Even the woman's confusion had a strange quality to it, like someone who'd been sheltered from the normal chaos of the world. Ma'am, Rosa, your son is Dante Marino? Rosa's face crumpled. You know. Everyone knows. That's why no one stops. She gripped Maya's hand with surprising strength. But I'm just his mother. I'm just a mother who can't find her way home. The announcement crackled overhead. Final boarding call for Flight 447 to Seattle, departing from Gate C, 47. This is the final boarding call. Maya's stomach dropped. That was her flight. Her promotion. Her future. She looked at Rosa's frightened face, then at her phone, then at the departure board where her gate number was already switching to departed. Okay, Maya heard herself say. Let's find your son. The relief that flooded Rosa's face made Maya's chest ache. She helped the older woman stand and guided her toward the information desk, already mentally composing the email she'd have to send her boss. "I'm so sorry, but there was an emergency." The airport police officer at the desk looked up with practiced boredom until he saw Rosa. His expression shifted instantly, recognition, then something like alarm. "Mrs. Marino?" He was already reaching for his radio. "We've been looking for you. Everyone's been looking for you." "What?" Maya stepped forward. "What do you mean, everyone?" The officer ignored her, speaking rapidly into his radio. "Terminal C, main information desk. Subject is safe." "Repeat, subject is safe." He turned to Rosa with a gentleness that surprised Maya. "Ma'am, you've been missing for 2 days. Your son filed a report with every law enforcement agency on the East Coast." 2 days? Maya looked at Rosa, who seemed just as confused. 2 days?
Rosa repeated.
"No, I left this morning. I took a taxi to the airport, and she stopped, her face paling." "What day is it?" "Thursday, ma'am. Thursday afternoon." Rosa's hand flew to her mouth. "Madonna Santa. I lost 2 whole days." Within minutes, the information desk became a command center. 3 more officers appeared, then 2 men in dark suits who definitely weren't airport security. One of them made a phone call that consisted entirely of, "We found her. Terminal C. Yes, sir. She's with a civilian. Female, 30-ish. Asian American.
No, sir.
Appears to be a good Samaritan. Yes, sir." He ended the call and turned to Maya with an expression that was equal parts gratitude and assessment. "Miss, I'm going to need you to stay for a moment. Mr. Marino would like to thank you personally." Maya's mouth went dry. "That's really not necessary. I'm afraid I have to insist. It wasn't a request." Rosa reached for Maya's hand again, and this time her grip was steadier.
"Please.
Let me at least say thank you properly. You missed your plane for me. How did you?" "I heard the announcement," Rosa said softly.
Seattle.
"You gave up Seattle for a confused old woman you didn't know." The 2 men in suits positioned themselves on either side of the group, and Maya realized with creeping dread that she was no longer being thanked. She was being detained. Politely, professionally, but detained nonetheless. One of the suits gestured toward the terminal exit. "There's a car waiting." Maya thought of her son, of her boss, of the life she'd carefully built on a foundation of good decisions and avoiding exactly this kind of situation. But when she looked at Rosa's face, grateful, gentle, and utterly genuine, she found she couldn't say no. "Okay," Maya said quietly. "But I need to make a phone call first." As they walked toward the black Mercedes idling at the curb, Maya texted her mother. "Flight delayed. Long story. We'll call soon. Everything's fine." She hit send and wondered if she'd just told her first lie of the day. Or her last moment of freedom. The Mercedes glided through Philadelphia's streets like a shark through dark water. Maya sat in the back beside Rosa, who hummed softly to herself, seemingly unaware of the tension coiled in Maya's shoulders. The 2 men in suits occupied the front seats, silent as statues. They drove for 40 minutes, leaving the city behind for the sprawling estates of the main line. When they finally turned through iron gates, Maya's breath caught. The house, no, the mansion, rose from manicured grounds like something from another era. Stone columns, arched windows, and enough square footage to house a small village. But it was the police cruiser parked discreetly down the street that made Maya's stomach knot.
Surveillance.
This wasn't just a wealthy family's home. This was a fortress being watched. "It's not as scary as it looks," Rosa said gently, patting Maya's hand. "Just a lot of empty rooms." The car stopped at the front entrance. One of the suits opened Rosa's door, while the other opened Maya's. She stepped onto gravel that crunched like broken teeth under her shoes. The front door opened before they reached it. He stood in the doorway, backlit by the chandelier's glow, and Maya's first thought was that he looked nothing like the grainy surveillance photos online. Dante Marino was tall, dark-haired, and composed in a way that suggested he'd learned to control every muscle in his face. He wore a simple black shirt and slacks, no gold chains, no flashy watch. Just quiet, absolute authority. His eyes found his mother first.
Manga.
The word cracked something in his careful composure. He descended the steps and pulled Rosa into his arms, switching to rapid Italian that Maya couldn't follow. But she understood the tone, relief mixed with anguish mixed with barely controlled anger that had nowhere to go. When he finally released Rosa, his eyes found Maya. Up close, they were dark brown, almost black, and far too intelligent for comfort. "You're the one who found her, not a question." "She needed help," Maya said simply. "In an airport full of people, you were the only one who stopped." He studied her like a chess player studying the board.
Why?
Because she was scared. Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe, or recognition. "What's your name?" "Maya Chun." "Miss Chun," he offered his hand. His grip was firm but not crushing, and his palm bore calluses she wouldn't have expected from a man who probably hadn't done manual labor in years. "Thank you for bringing my mother home. I'm told you missed your flight." "It's fine." "It's not fine. You lost something valuable for a stranger." He released her hand.
Please.
"Come inside. Let me at least offer you dinner and a car home afterward." Maya opened her mouth to refuse. Every instinct screamed to get away from this place, these people, this situation. But Rosa touched her arm. "Please," the older woman said. "I make a very good minestrone. You shouldn't travel on an empty stomach." The house interior matched the exterior. All marble and dark wood, and the kind of quiet that money bought. Original paintings hung on the walls, not prints. The chandelier in the foyer cost more than Maya's car.
But it was cold.
Despite the obvious wealth, despite the beautiful furnishings, the house felt empty. Unlived in. Like a museum after hours. Rosa led them to a dining room where a table that could seat 20 held settings for 3. Maya sat, feeling absurdly out of place in her conference-appropriate blazer and slacks. Dante sat across from her, and Maya noticed how his eyes never stopped moving, tracking doors, windows, the positions of his men who moved like shadows through adjacent rooms. "You don't trust easily," Maya observed. "Can you blame me?" He poured water from a crystal pitcher. "The police watching my house certainly don't." "Then why am I here?" "Because my mother trusts you." He glanced toward the kitchen, where Rosa was presumably overseeing the soup. "That's rare enough to be worth investigating." "I'm not worth investigating. I'm an insurance claims adjuster from Fishtown with a 9-year-old son and student loan debt. I'm boring." Boring people don't sacrifice business trips for confused strangers. Before Maya could respond, Rosa returned carrying a tureen of soup that smelled like heaven, tomatoes, basil, garlic, and something else Maya couldn't identify. As she ladled soup into bowls, she chatted about the recipe, about the vegetables from the garden, about anything except the fact that she'd been missing for 2 days. "Mama," Dante said gently, "do you remember where you were?" "Before the airport." Rosa's hand stilled on the ladle. I was home. Then I was getting ready to visit Teresa in Boston." Then her face clouded. "I don't remember. It's like fog." Dante's jaw tightened, but his voice remained soft. "It's okay. We'll figure it out." Maya ate her soup and watched the dynamic between them. The way Rosa deflected questions. The way Dante tried to protect her without seeming to interrogate. The weight of things unsaid pressing down on the beautiful room. "Do you like lilies?" Rosa asked Maya suddenly. Yes."
Good.
"Dante never keeps flowers in the house. Says they're impractical," Rosa smiled. "But I think a house without flowers is like a life without grace. Don't you think?" "I think you're right," Maya said. "And crosswords. Do you do crosswords?" "Sometimes. Usually wrong." Rosa laughed, a genuine, delighted sound that seemed to surprise even Dante. "Me too. I get so frustrated with the Thursday ones. Too clever by half." For the next hour, Maya found herself talking with Rosa about ordinary things.
Books.
Recipes. The little church by the shore where Rosa used to go with her late husband, where the waves crashed against the cliffs and you could hear them echo inside during service. It's still there, Rosa said wistfully. At least it was. I haven't been in years. Dante worries if I go too far. Mama, that's not. Dante stopped himself. It's not safe. Nothing's safe, Rosa said quietly. But some things are worth the risk. Maya watched Dante's face shut down, watched him retreat behind walls built from necessity and violence and a life she couldn't imagine. But in that moment, she saw what Rosa must see, a son trying desperately to protect the one pure thing left in his world. By the time Maya left, driven home by one of the silent suits, she realized something unsettling. Despite everything, the reputation, the police surveillance, the obvious danger, she'd felt safer in that cold mansion than she'd expected. Because for all his power, Dante Marino was just a man terrified of losing his mother. And Rosa Marino was just a woman who loved lilies and crosswords and the sound of waves against stone. Maya climbed the stairs to her small apartment, exhausted and confused and somehow changed. She didn't yet know that by tomorrow morning, her face would be in every newspaper in Philadelphia. Or that by tomorrow night, Rosa would vanish again. Maya woke to 17 missed calls and a text from her mother that simply read, "Call me now." She fumbled for her phone, squinting against the morning light filtering through her bedroom curtains. It was 6:47 a.m. Her alarm hadn't even gone off yet. "Mom? What's wrong? Is Ethan okay?" "Ethan's fine." "Maya, why is your picture in the newspaper?" Maya's stomach dropped. "What?" The Philadelphia Inquirer. Front page of the Metro section. Good Samaritan linked to Marino family. There's a photo of you getting into a car outside the airport with Maya. Is that really Dante Marino? She was already at her laptop, hands shaking as she pulled up the newspaper's website. There it was, a grainy but unmistakable photo of her walking beside Rosa toward the Mercedes, one of Dante's men visible in the background. The headline screamed implications she couldn't afford. Local woman Maya Chun, 30, was spotted yesterday accompanying alleged organized crime figure Dante Marino and his mother, Rosa Marino, 72, who had been reported missing. Her phone buzzed. Her boss. Then buzzed again. Unknown number. Then again. Another unknown number. "Mom, I have to go." "Maya, what have you gotten yourself into?" "Nothing. I helped a lost woman at the airport. That's all." Even as she said it, she knew how hollow it sounded. "I'll call you back." She hung up and stared at her phone as it continued to vibrate with incoming calls. Her carefully constructed life, the respectable job, the quiet neighborhood, the deliberate distance from anything controversial, was unraveling in real time. By the time she showered and dressed, 3 news vans had parked on her street. Maya peeked through her curtains and felt her chest tighten. Reporters. Actually reporters, with cameras and microphones, camped outside her building.
Her phone rang again.
This time she recognized the number, Philadelphia Police Department. "Miss Chun? This is Detective Sarah Walsh. We'd like to ask you a few questions about your interaction with the Marino family yesterday." 2 hours later, Maya sat in an interview room that smelled like stale coffee and desperation. Detective Walsh, a sharp-eyed woman in her 40s, sat across from her with a notepad and an expression that suggested she'd heard every lie ever told. "You understand we're not accusing you of anything," Walsh said. "We just need to understand the nature of your relationship with Dante Marino." "There is no relationship. I met him yesterday."
"Once."
"For dinner." "You had dinner with Dante Marino." Walsh's pen hovered over her notepad. "At his residence. His mother invited me. I helped her at the airport." She wanted to say thank you. Maya's voice came out more defensive than she intended. "I didn't even know who she was when I stopped to help. And yet you got into a car with his men. Went to his house. Stayed for over an hour. What was I supposed to do?" His mother was upset. "She asked me to stay." Walsh leaned forward. "Miss Chun, I'm going to be direct with you. Dante Marino is under active federal investigation. Anyone associated with him becomes a person of interest. That includes you now. I'm not associated with him. I helped a confused elderly woman find her way home. A confused elderly woman who happens to be the mother of one of the most powerful organized crime figures on the East Coast. Walsh's expression softened slightly. Look, I believe you. I do. But perception matters. And right now, every criminal defense attorney in the city is taking notes on the woman who might be character witness number one for Dante Marino. Maya's hands trembled in her lap. I don't want anything to do with this. Then stay away from the Marino family. All of them. Walsh slid a business card across the table. And if they contact you again, when they contact you again, call me immediately. Maya left the police station through a side door Walsh had arranged, avoiding the cameras out front. But by the time she reached her apartment, the damage was done. Her phone had 43 messages. 3 were from reporters. 5 were from concerned friends. 1 was from her boss, brief and devastating. We need to talk Monday morning. The last message was from a number she didn't recognize, but she knew who it was before she even listened. Miss Chun, this is Rosa Marino. The old woman's voice sounded tired, guilty. I saw the newspaper.
I'm so sorry.
You shouldn't suffer for showing kindness. That's not right. That's not a long pause. I told Dante this would happen. I told him. Maya deleted the message and sat on her couch, staring at her phone. She thought about Ethan, about the looks he'd get at school now. She thought about her job, her reputation, everything she'd worked for.
Her phone rang.
Unknown number. Against every instinct, she answered. Miss Chun, this is Anthony Castellano. I work for Mr. Marino. The voice was professional, carefully neutral. Mr. Marino wanted me to convey his apologies for the media attention. He's prepared to provide private security for you and your son until this situation resolves. He's also retained a lawyer on your behalf.
No.
Silence.
No.
Castellano sounded genuinely confused, as if no one had ever refused Dante Marino's help before. I don't want his protection. I don't want his lawyers. I don't want anything from him. Maya's voice shook with anger. I helped his mother because it was the right thing to do. I don't need to be rescued from the consequences. Miss Chun, you don't understand the kind of attention. I understand perfectly. Tell Mr. Marino thank you, but no. I'll handle this myself. She hung up before Castellano could respond, heart hammering. She just refused help from a man who wasn't accustomed to hearing the word no, but accepting his protection meant accepting his world, and Maya had spent her entire adult life building a life separate from chaos. That evening, as she sat in her darkening apartment ignoring the reporters still lingering outside, her phone buzzed with a text from the same unknown number Rosa had used. You're braver than you know. I'm sorry for bringing storm clouds to your door.
Rosa.
Maya stared at the message, then typed back. It's not your fault. Take care of yourself. She hit send and turned off her phone. She didn't know that while she sat in the dark, Rosa Marino was packing a small bag in her bedroom, moving quietly so the guards outside her door wouldn't hear. She didn't know that Rosa had remembered something, a fragment of those missing 2 days, and it had terrified her enough to run. By midnight, when Dante Marino discovered his mother's empty room and the disabled security camera, Maya was asleep, dreaming of airports and missed flights. She wouldn't find out Rosa had disappeared again until the phone call came at 3 a.m. The phone's shrill ring pierced Maya's sleep like a blade. She grabbed it reflexively, still half dreaming, and saw the time. 3:17 a.m. Unknown number. Hello. Her voice came out rough, confused. Miss Chun, this is Dante Marino. No preamble, no apology for the hour. His voice was tight, controlled in a way that suggested barely contained panic. My mother is gone. Maya sat up, suddenly wide awake. What do you mean, gone? She's not in her room. The guards saw nothing. Security cameras in her wing were disabled, cut from the inside. He paused, and Maya heard voices in the background, urgent Italian. I need your help. Mr. Marino, I don't understand why you're calling me. You should call the police. The police are already here. They're searching the grounds. His voice dropped lower. But they don't know her. You do. I met her once. And in one dinner, she told you more about herself than she's told anyone in 5 years. Something cracked in his carefully maintained composure.
Please.
I'm asking not as what people think I am. I'm asking as a son who can't find his mother. Maya pressed her palm against her forehead, trying to think through the fog of interrupted sleep. She remembered Rose's face across the dinner table, the way she'd lit up talking about crosswords and churches and lilies. The wistfulness in her voice when she mentioned the seaside chapel. When I'm lost, I find peace near the sea. Mr. Marino, Maya said slowly, has your mother ever left before? On her own, I mean?
No.
Never. She doesn't go anywhere without security. She knows it's not safe. But if she did leave on her own, if she wasn't taken, where would she go? Silence stretched between them. Then, I don't know. Those 3 words carried more weight than any threat could. The most powerful man in Philadelphia's underworld didn't know where his own mother would seek comfort. That told Maya everything about how thoroughly fear had separated them from normalcy. The church, Maya said quietly. The one by the shore, where she used to go with your father. She heard Dante's sharp intake of breath. St. Catherine's. It closed 10 years ago. She talked about it like it was yesterday. Like she could still hear the waves echoing inside during service. Maya threw off her covers, already moving toward her closet. She said some things are worth the risk. You think she went there, it wasn't a question. She could hear him moving, car keys jingling. It's 2 hours away. The building is half collapsed. If she's there alone, then you need to go.
Now.
Miss Chen, Maya, I'm sending a car for you.
No.
I'm not. She trusted you, his voice cut through her protest. If we find her scared and confused again, she'll need a familiar face. Not mine. Not my men. Yours. Maya wanted to say no. Wanted to hang up and burrow back under her covers and pretend none of this was happening. But she remembered Rose's hand gripping hers in the airport, the desperation in her eyes, the relief when someone finally stopped. I have a son, Maya said. I can't just leave. He's with your mother in Roxborough, correct? He's safe. I have men watching the house. Ice flooded Maya's veins. You have men watching my son. Watching. Protecting. There's a difference, Dante's voice hardened. My enemies are not kind people, Miss Chen. If they think you matter to me, they'll try to use you. I won't let that happen. I'm not your responsibility. You became my responsibility the moment you helped my mother. A car door slammed in the background. The car will be there in 8 minutes. Please. He hung up before she could argue. Maya stood in her dark bedroom, phone clutched in her hand, mind racing. This was insane. Getting deeper involved with Dante Marino was career suicide, possibly actual suicide. Detective Walsh's warning echoed in her head. Stay away from the Marino family. But Rose's voice echoed louder. You shouldn't suffer for kindness. 7 minutes later, Maya climbed into the back of a black SUV where Dante already sat, laptop open, barking orders into his phone in Italian. He looked different in the harsh interior light, older, more dangerous, stripped of the careful civility he'd worn at dinner. When he finished the call, he glanced at her. Thank you for coming. I'm not doing this for you, Maya said bluntly. I know, he returned to his laptop, pulling up what looked like surveillance footage. My men have checked hospitals, bus stations, train stations. Nothing. If she took a cab or a rideshare, she used cash and didn't give her real name. Maybe she didn't want to be found. Dante's jaw tightened. Then why leave? She knows I'd protect her from anything. Maybe that's the problem. Maya watched the Philadelphia streetlights blur past her window. Maybe she's tired of being protected. You don't understand. The things I've done, the enemies I've made, she's vulnerable because of me. 2 days she was missing before the airport. 2 days I still can't account for, his hands clenched into fists. Someone took her, hit her, made her forget. And I can't. He stopped, visibly collecting himself. I can't lose her. Maya saw it then, the terror beneath the control. Dante Marino, who commanded an empire built on fear, was terrified himself. Not of rivals or federal investigations, but of the ordinary human helplessness of watching someone you love disappear. Tell me about those 2 days, Maya said quietly. What do the doctors say happened? They can't explain it. No drugs in her system. No signs of physical trauma.
Just
Missing time. Like someone erased it from her memory. Maya's skin prickled. Or like she erased it herself. Dante's head snapped toward her. What? What if she wasn't taken? What if she left on purpose and just forgot why? That's impossible. Is it? She's been living in a fortress, surrounded by guards, for how long? Never going anywhere alone. Never making decisions for herself. Maya met his eyes. That's not living, Mr. Marino. That's existing. Maybe part of her wanted to escape so badly that when she finally did, her mind couldn't handle bringing her back. The SUV fell silent except for the hum of tires on asphalt. Finally, Dante spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. Then I've been her prison. No, Maya said firmly. You've been her son, trying to keep her safe in an unsafe world. But safety and life aren't always the same thing. They drove the rest of the way in silence, racing toward a ruined church by the sea, hoping to find a woman who might not want to be found. Dawn broke gray and cold over the coastal town of Margate, New Jersey. The SUV pulled off the highway onto narrow roads that hadn't seen repaving in years. Salt air crept through the vents, and Maya could hear the distant crash of waves even through the closed windows. St. Catherine stood on a bluff overlooking the Atlantic, exactly as forsaken as Dante had described. The white paint had long since peeled away, leaving gray wood exposed like bones. Half the roof had caved in, and yellow caution tape fluttered in the wind around the perimeter. A chain-link fence bore a sign, "Condemned in O trespassing." Dante was out of the vehicle before it fully stopped, his men following like shadows. Maya climbed out more slowly, pulling her jacket tight against the ocean wind. Spread out, Dante ordered. Check the building, the grounds, everything. Maya walked toward the edge of the bluff where a weathered stone wall separated grass from a deadly drop to rocks below. The ocean stretched endless and gray, whitecaps visible in the early light. It was beautiful in a desolate way, the kind of beauty that felt like loneliness. Something white caught her eye, snagged on the wall. Mr. Marino, she called. He was beside her in seconds. Maya pointed to the scrap of fabric, cream-colored silk, the same shade as the scarf Rosa had worn at the airport. Dante's hand trembled as he reached for it. This is hers. My father bought her a dozen of these. She wears them everywhere. So she was here. Maya scanned the area. The grass was overgrown, but she could make out what might have been footprints in the dew.
small feet.
Recently, one of Dante's men jogged over. Boss, church is empty. No signs of. Check again, Dante snapped. Every corner, every shadow. Maya walked along the wall, following an instinct she couldn't name. At the far end, where the fence met the bluff, she found a gap, the chain link cut clean through, just wide enough for a person to slip through. She left the church, Maya said. Went down toward the beach, maybe? There's no path down, just cliffs. But Maya was already at the fence line, peering over. Below, maybe 15 feet down, a narrow trail zigzagged toward the beach. Treacherous, overgrown, but passable. There, she pointed. Look. Halfway down the trail, caught on a bush, was another scrap of cream silk. Dante's face went white. If she tried to climb down in the dark. He was moving before he finished the sentence, finding the gap in the fence. Maya grabbed his arm. Wait. Let me go first. Absolutely not. You're wearing Italian leather shoes. I'm wearing sneakers. Maya was already slipping through the fence. And if she is down there, spooked and scared, she'll run from you and your men. But she might stay for me. For a moment, Maya thought he'd refuse. Then he nodded curtly. Franco goes with you. One of his men, younger, with kind eyes, stepped forward. I grew up near here. I know these trails. The descent was worse than it looked from above. Loose rocks skittered under Maya's feet, and thorny bushes grabbed at her clothes. Franco moved with practiced ease, offering his hand at the worst spots. Behind them, Maya heard Dante arguing with his men, who were probably trying to convince him not to follow on that trail in dress shoes. They reached the beach as the sun finally broke through the clouds. Maya shaded her eyes, scanning the shoreline. Empty. Just rocks and tide pools, and the relentless crash of waves. Miss Chun, Franco pointed north, where a small beach shack stood, one of those seasonal rental places for umbrellas and surfboards. Someone's been there.
Doors open.
They approached carefully. The shack was locked up for winter, but the padlock hung broken. Inside, among overturned beach chairs and stacked boards, Maya found a dry spot on the floor where someone had clearly sat. A candy wrapper. A bottle of water, half empty. She was here, Maya said. But not anymore. Franco's radio crackled. We've got something. Beach parking lot, north end. Get up here. The climb back up was harder. By the time they reached the top, Maya's lungs burned, and her hands were scraped raw. Dante met them at the fence, his expression grim. What did you find? Maya asked.
Witness.
Local vendor who sets up at the beach parking lot on weekends. He remembers an old woman yesterday evening. Dante's voice was tight. Said she looked confused, kept asking about mass times. He told her the church was closed. Then a van pulled up. Maya's stomach dropped. What kind of van? Black.
No plates visible.
Two men got out. Dante's hands clenched. They didn't grab her. They talked to her. She seemed to recognize one of them. Got in willingly. So she knew them, Franco said. Or thought she did. Dante turned to Maya, and she saw the anguish he'd been holding back. Someone's been playing with her memory, making her forget, making her remember, using her confusion against her. Why? Maya asked. What could they possibly want? Leverage. The word came out like poison. They can't touch me directly. Federal protection, too many witnesses, too much scrutiny. But my mother? His voice cracked. She's the one weakness I can't armor plate. Maya thought about Rosa's missing 2 days, the gaps in her memory, the way she'd been found at the airport with no recollection of how she got there. They're not just taking her, Maya said slowly. They're breaking her mind, so that even when you get her back, she's lost, Dante finished. Permanently lost.
His phone rang.
He answered with a barked, "What?" Then his face changed, surprise, then barely controlled rage. He listened in silence, his jaw working. Finally, show me. He ended the call and turned to his men. They just sent a video. Security footage from a riverside warehouse in Camden. He pulled up the video on his phone, and Maya glimpsed grainy footage of Rosa being led, not dragged, led, into a building by 2 men. She looked docile, compliant. They want me to know they have her, Dante said quietly. They want me to come. Then it's a trap, Franco said. Of course it's a trap, Dante looked at Maya. Which is why I'm going to spring it. That's insane. Miss Chun, you've known my mother for 2 conversations. I've known her my entire life. He met her eyes. She's the reason I'm still human. If they take that from me, if they break her mind and send her back as a shell, then they've won. And I become exactly what everyone already thinks I am. Maya saw it then, the terrible choice before him. Become the monster to save what kept him human, or stay human and lose everything. Let me come with you, Maya heard herself say.
No.
You said it yourself. She trusts me. If she's confused, scared, maybe damaged, she'll respond to my voice, not yours. Maya took a breath. You need me. Dante studied her for a long moment. Then, against every instinct that probably screamed no, he nodded. Then we leave now, he said, before they move her again. The warehouse district of Camden looked like the apocalypse had come and forgotten to finish the job. Abandoned factories lined the Delaware River, their windows empty as eye sockets, graffiti covering walls like scars. Dante's convoy, 3 SUVs now, rolled slowly through streets where rust and silence reigned. That one, Franco pointed to a squat concrete building at the end of a dead-end street. Water-stained, unremarkable, with a single rolling door and no visible guards. Too quiet. Of course it's too quiet. Dante was loading a gun with practiced efficiency that made Maya's stomach turn. They want me to walk in.
So don't, Maya said.
Call the police. The FBI.
Anyone.
And by the time they get a warrant, my mother's gone. Moved to another location, maybe another state. He checked the gun's chamber. They're counting on me being predictable. Charging in, guns blazing, starting a war. Then what are you going to do? Dante looked at her, and something in his expression had shifted. Something unpredictable. He turned to his men. No weapons visible. We go in like we're negotiating, not fighting. Franco, you stay with Miss Chun in the second vehicle. If shooting starts, you get her out. Clear? Franco nodded, but Maya shook her head. That's not the plan. I'm going in. Absolutely not. You need someone who doesn't look like a threat. Someone they won't expect. Maya's heart hammered, but her voice stayed steady. I'll go to the side entrance. There's always a side entrance in these places. I'll pretend to be lost, a volunteer looking for a shelter address or something. Create a distraction. They'll see through it immediately. Maybe. But for 30 seconds, maybe a minute, their attention won't be on you. Maya met his eyes. You said she'll respond to my voice. Let me use it. Dante's jaw worked. She could see him calculating odds, weighing risks. Finally, you get 1 minute. The second you see her, you call out.
Keep her calm.
We do the rest. He handed her a small device that looked like a car key fob. Panic button. Press it and every man I have comes through those doors. But Maya, he caught her wrist. If bullets start flying, you hit the ground and stay down. Promise me. I promise. 5 minutes later, Maya stood at the rusted side door of the warehouse, her mouth dry as sand. Through the metal, she could hear voices, male, casual, speaking in accents she couldn't place. She tested the door. Unlocked. She pulled it open and stepped into the dim interior, adopting the confused expression of someone genuinely lost. Hello? Is anyone? Oh. 3 men sat at a card table near the entrance. They jumped up, hands moving toward weapons. Maya raised her hands, letting her voice shake. I'm so sorry. I'm looking for the Hope Community Shelter. The GPS said it was this address, but... Wrong building, lady. The closest man, stocky, late 40s, with prison tattoos snaking up his neck, gestured toward the door. Turn around. Walk away. Are you sure? Because I have donations in my car, and the website definitely said. I said wrong building. He moved toward her, and Maya took a step back, then another, drawing them away from their posts. That's when she heard it. A woman's voice humming.
Familiar.
Wait, is someone hurt? I'm a nurse. Maya lied, moving sideways, trying to see past them into the warehouse depths. Lady, you need to leave.
Now.
But Maya had already seen her. Rosa sat on a folding chair near the back wall, humming to herself, serene and completely unaware of danger. One of the captors stood behind her. Younger, nervous, his hand on her shoulder more like a handler with a confused patient than a kidnapper with a hostage.
Rosa.
Maya called out before she could stop herself. Rosa's head snapped up. Her eyes found Maya's and recognition sparked like a match.
Maya?
Oh, thank God. I got so turned around. Can you help me find? The man behind her clamped his hand over her mouth. Everything happened at once. The main door exploded inward, not blown open, just opened hard and fast. Dante strode in with 4 of his men, hands visible and empty, but his presence filled the space like a thunderstorm. Gentlemen, he said calmly, I believe you have something of mine. The stocky man spun toward him, gun half drawn. Marino, took you long enough. I was never good at being fashionably late. Dante's eyes flicked to Rosa, and Maya saw the fear he kept leashed. That's my mother you're holding. I'd like her back. I bet you would, a new voice echoed from the shadows. A man emerged from an office in the back, tall, silver-haired, expensive suit that seemed absurd in the decrepit warehouse.
Hello, Dante.
It's been a while. Dante's expression didn't change, but Maya felt the temperature drop. Castellano. You remember, the man smiled without warmth. I wondered if you would. After all, you destroyed my brother, took his territory, his business. You took everything from me. So I thought fair is fair. I'll take something from you. Victor was a trafficker and a murderer. I gave the FBI enough evidence to put him away for life. That's not the same as... Semantics, Castellano waved his hand dismissively. What matters is you broke my family. Now I break yours. Except I'm more creative than you. I don't just take her away. I make her forget you exist. Maya saw Dante's hands clench, saw the violence he was holding back by pure force of will. Those 2 days, Dante said quietly. What did you do to her?
No signe permanent. Yet.
Just some pharmaceutical encouragement to forget, to wander, to trust the wrong people. Castellano's smile widened. But imagine what 2 weeks could do. 2 months. By the time I'm done, she won't even remember your name. Rosa whimpered behind the hand covering her mouth, and Maya saw tears streaming down her face. Let her go, Dante said. This is between us. Oh, but that's exactly the point. There is no, between us there's only you, watching helplessly while I dismantle everything you love. Dante took a step forward, and immediately 4 guns rose to point at him. But Maya was already moving. While everyone focused on the standoff, she'd edged closer to Rosa. Now she lunged forward, grabbing the old woman's arm and yanking her from the chair with strength born of pure adrenaline. Run, Maya screamed, pulling Rosa toward the side door. Chaos erupted. Shouts, movement, the metallic click of safeties releasing. And then Dante's voice, clear and cold as winter. Nobody fires. Nobody moves. Or I release every piece of evidence I have on Castellano's operation to the FBI right now. It's already queued. 1 text, and you're all going to prison. The warehouse froze. You're bluffing, Castellano said, but uncertainty crept into his voice. Try me, Dante held up his phone. In 30 seconds, every federal prosecutor in the district gets enough evidence to indict everyone in this room. Except me. I made sure of that. Maya held Rosa close, feeling the old woman's heart racing against her own. You think you're clever, Castellano spat. But this isn't over. Yes, Dante said quietly. It is. He pressed send. The FBI arrived in 14 minutes, a speed that suggested they'd been waiting for Dante's evidence dump like vultures circling a carcass. Maya watched from the SUV as federal agents swarmed the warehouse, guns drawn, shouting commands. Castellano and his men were face down on the concrete within seconds. Rosa sat beside her, wrapped in Dante's suit jacket, trembling. She hadn't spoken since they'd fled the warehouse. Her eyes tracked movement outside the window, but Maya wasn't sure how much she was actually seeing. Rosa, Maya said softly, you're safe now. We're going home. Home. Rosa's voice was distant, hollow. I don't remember home. Maya's chest tightened. She took Rosa's hand. It was ice cold. The house with the garden. Where you make minestrone. Where your son keeps the temperature too cold and never buys flowers. A flicker of recognition. Dante.
Yes.
Dante. Is he angry with me?
No.
He's... Maya stopped as the SUV door opened. Dante climbed in, exhausted and haunted. His shirt was untucked, his hair disheveled. For the first time since Maya had met him, he looked entirely human, entirely breakable. He knelt on the SUV floor in front of his mother's seat, looking up at her like a child seeking forgiveness. Mama, he whispered. Rosa's hand moved slowly, uncertainly, to touch his face. You're here. I'm here. I've got you. You're safe. I was lost. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I keep getting lost, and I don't know why. There are holes in my head, Dante. Holes where memories should be. I know. We'll fix it. I promise. No. Rosa's voice gained strength. You can't fix everything. You can't control everything. You spend so much time protecting me from the world that I forgot how to live in it. Dante flinched as if she'd struck him. I wasn't running from you, my son. Rosa cupped his face with both hands now. I was trying to find the boy who used to smile. The one who took me to the beach on Sundays. Who made terrible jokes. Who wanted to be a teacher before. She stopped, unable to finish. Before I became this, Dante said quietly. You're still in there. I know you are. But all this. She gestured vaguely at the warehouse, the agents, the life he'd built on violence and fear. It's burying you. And I can't watch that anymore. I'd rather lose my memory than watch you lose your soul. The SUV fell silent except for the muffled sounds of arrests outside. Finally, Dante spoke, his voice raw. Then tell me how. Tell me how to be something other than what I am. Rosa looked at Maya. Ask her. She knows. Maya felt both their eyes on her and wanted to disappear. I'm nobody. I don't have answers. Yes, you do, Rosa squeezed her hand. You stopped in an airport for a stranger. That's not nothing. That's everything. Dante stood slowly, composing himself. He looked at Maya with an expression she couldn't read. Respect, maybe, or confusion that someone so ordinary had unraveled something so fundamental. How did you know where she'd be? He asked. At the church. In my whole life, I never thought to look there. But you knew. Maya met his gaze. You don't forget the things someone loves when you truly listen. The words hung between them, weighted with meaning. Dante had spent years protecting his mother's body while forgetting to protect her spirit. He'd given her safety, but stolen her agency. And in doing so, he'd lost the ability to truly see her. I haven't listened, he said finally. Not really. Not in years. Then start now, Maya said simply. They drove Rosa home as dawn painted the sky pink and gold. At the estate, a private doctor examined her while Dante paced the hallway like a caged animal. Maya sat in the parlor, exhausted, watching security footage being reviewed on multiple screens. She saw herself on camera, that moment in the warehouse when she'd grabbed Rosa and run. She looked terrified and small and completely out of her depth. You were very brave. Franco appeared beside her with coffee. Stupid, maybe, but brave. I don't feel brave. I feel like I'm in someone else's life. Sometimes the bravest thing is showing up in someone else's life when they need it. The doctor emerged an hour later with cautiously optimistic news. Rosa was physically unharmed. The memory issues would require extensive neurological testing, but preliminary signs suggested the effects might not be permanent. The drugs Castellano had used were sophisticated, but not irreversible. Dante took the news with a slight nod, as if afraid to hope. That evening, as Maya prepared to finally leave, to return to her real life, her son, her problems, Rosa asked her to stay just a little longer. They sat in the garden as twilight fell, the first stars appearing overhead. I remember now, Rosa said quietly. Bits and pieces. They kept telling me Dante had abandoned me, that he didn't want me anymore. They showed me fake documents, fake news articles. She twisted her hands in her lap. After a while, I didn't know what was real. But you do now. Now I know my son loves me too much. So much he's forgotten how to love himself. Rosa looked at Maya. You make him remember what peace feels like. I see it. The way he looks at you, not with fear or calculation. With hope. Maya shook her head. Mrs. Marino, I'm just a woman who showed kindness and kept showing it, even when it cost you. Rosa smiled sadly. That's not just anything. That's extraordinary. Inside the house, through the window, Maya could see Dante on the phone. Still working, still moving, still unable to rest. He lost himself protecting me, Rosa whispered. Maybe you can help him find his way back. Maya wanted to say it wasn't her job, wasn't her responsibility, wasn't her life. But looking at Rosa's hopeful face, she couldn't quite force out the words. So instead, she simply said, maybe, and wondered if maybe was enough to change everything. Maya's phone exploded with notifications the moment she turned it back on. The media had gotten hold of the story, not just the airport incident anymore, but the warehouse rescue. Somehow, despite FBI involvement and federal secrecy, someone had leaked it. Good Samaritan saves Mafia boss's mother. Again. Maya Chen. Hero or accomplice. Inside the shocking rescue that links suburban mom to organized crime. The headlines grew more sensational with each refresh. Her photo, an old one from LinkedIn, was everywhere. Someone had even dug up her high school yearbook picture. Mom, you need to see this. Her mother's voice on the phone was tight with worry. Channel 6 just ran a segment. They're calling you Dante Marino's mysterious associate. Maya closed her eyes. How's Ethan? A pause.
Confused.
Some of the parents at school saw the news. They're asking questions. What kind of questions? The kind that means you should probably come get him. Soon. Maya ended the call and stared at her apartment ceiling. It was Sunday evening. She'd been gone less than 48 hours, but her entire life had been rewritten in that time. Monday morning confirmed her worst fears. The school principal, Mrs. Davidson, met her at the entrance with an expression of practiced sympathy that barely masked discomfort. Miss Chun, could we speak privately? They sat in an office that smelled like old books and anxiety. Through the window, Maya could see children playing on the playground. Normal children, living normal lives. I want to be direct, Mrs. Davidson said. Several parents have expressed concerns about Ethan continuing here given your situation. My situation, Maya's voice was flat. You mean helping an elderly woman who was kidnapped? I mean your association with a known organized crime figure. The principal's jaw tightened. Miss Chen, I believe you acted with good intentions. But this school has a responsibility to all its students. And right now, your presence here, and by extension, Ethan's, creates a security concern. A security concern. Maya felt something crack inside her. My 9-year-old son is a security concern. That's not what I... Yes, it is. Maya stood. You're expelling him for safety reasons. You're punishing a child because his mother helped someone in need. Mrs. Davidson had the grace to look uncomfortable. It's not permanent. Once the media attention dies down, once your connection to Mr. Marino is
Resolved.
we'd be happy to reconsider. Maya walked out without another word. She found Ethan in his classroom, packing his backpack with the careful slowness of a child trying not to cry. Mom? His voice was small. Did I do something wrong? She knelt down and pulled him into a fierce hug.
No, baby.
You did nothing wrong. Nothing. Then why do I have to leave? Maya had no answer that wouldn't break his heart further. By Tuesday, Maya had been placed on administrative leave from Jensen and Associates. Her boss delivered the news via email, professional, apologetic, but final. Given the current media scrutiny and potential impact on client relationships, we feel it's best if you take some time away from the office. Translation: you're toxic, and we can't afford the association. Wednesday brought reporters to her doorstep. They camped outside her building, shoving microphones at her whenever she tried to leave. One grabbed her arm. Miss Chen, how long have you been romantically involved with Dante Marino? I'm not. Is it true you helped plan the warehouse confrontation?
No.
Are you accepting money from the Marino family? Maya shoved past them, heart pounding, and made it to her car. She drove aimlessly for an hour, trying to outrun cameras and questions and the ruins of her carefully built life.
Her phone rang.
Dante's number. She almost didn't answer, but something, exhaustion, maybe, or the need to blame someone, made her pick up. I'm calling to check, he started. Don't, Maya's voice shook with anger. Don't check on me. Don't send your men to watch my house. Don't send lawyers or money or protection or whatever else you think will fix this. Silence on the line. My son was expelled from school, Maya continued. I was fired from my job. I can't leave my apartment without being photographed. My life is destroyed, Mr. Marino. Completely destroyed. I know his voice was quiet.
I'm sorry. Sorry?
You're sorry? Maya laughed, a bitter sound. You said I'd be safe. You said you'd protect me. I was wrong. A long pause. I can relocate you. New city, new identity, new school for Ethan. Clean slate. And then what? I spend the rest of my life hiding? Running. Maya pulled over, unable to drive through her tears. I helped your mother because it was the right thing to do. I don't need protection from the world, you do. She heard him breathe out slowly. What do you mean? You're so afraid of being vulnerable that you've turned everything around you into a fortress. Your mother can't leave the house. The people who work for you can't speak freely. And now I can't even walk to my car without being attacked by reporters. Her voice dropped. You don't protect people, Mr. Marino. You isolate them. There's a difference. The words hung between them, sharp and true. You're right, Dante said finally. You're absolutely right. I don't want to hear that I'm right. I want my life back. I can't give you that. His voice carried genuine pain. But I can stop making it worse. No more surveillance. No more interference. You want me out of your life, I'm out. Maya wiped her eyes. Good. But Maya, he hesitated. My mother is asking for you. Every day. She thinks you've disappeared like she did. It's making her condition worse. The guilt hit like a physical blow. That's not fair. I know. Nothing about this is fair. A pause. I'm not asking for me. I'm asking for her. Maya rested her forehead against the steering wheel. She thought about Rose's gentle face, her confusion, her fear. She thought about how kindness had led her here, to this moment, where helping had cost her everything. Tell her I'm okay, Maya said finally. Tell her I'm safe. But I can't come back there. I can't be part of your world. I understand. She hung up before he could say anything else. That night, Maya held Ethan as he cried himself to sleep, asking why his friends weren't allowed to talk to him anymore. She had no answers. Only the crushing weight of consequences she'd never anticipated. The price of compassion, she realized, wasn't always paid by the person showing it. Sometimes the people you love paid it for you. 3 days of isolation did nothing to diminish the media circus. If anything, it intensified. Maya's silence became fodder for speculation. Was she in hiding? Under witness protection? Planning to testify against Dante Marino? On Saturday morning, a car arrived at her building. Not an SUV this time, just a simple sedan with an older woman at the wheel. She knocked on Maya's door with the gentle persistence of someone who wouldn't leave until answered. Maya opened it a crack, ready to slam it shut if she saw a camera. Miss Chen? My name is Elena. I work for Mrs. Marino. The woman was 60-ish, kind-faced, with salt and pepper hair pulled into a bun. She asked me to bring you this. Elena held out a small package wrapped in brown paper. I can't accept. It's not from him. It's from her. She wrapped it herself this morning. Elena's expression softened. Please. She's been asking for you constantly. The doctors say the distress is affecting her recovery. Guilt twisted Maya's stomach. She took the package. Inside was a small clay pot with a lily bulb nestled in soil and a note in shaky handwriting. Maya, please come visit if you can. I know my son's world has hurt you, but maybe you could stay with us for a little while? Just until the noise outside your door stops. You shouldn't have to hide in your own home. I promise. No guards watching, no questions asked. Just a quiet place to breathe.
Rosa.
Maya stared at the note, then at Elena, who waited patiently. Mrs. Marino specifically requested that I tell you. Mr. Dante is traveling for business. He won't be home for several days. The house would be yours and hers, essentially. And your son would be welcome, of course. I don't understand. Why would she want me there?
Elena smiled sadly.
Because in 2 days, you showed her more genuine kindness than most people have in 2 years. And because she hesitated. Because you remind her what normal feels like. What life outside all this feels like. Maya lasted 2 more days before the walls of her apartment closed in completely. A brick through her window, thrown by an outraged citizen, according to the threatening note attached, made the decision easier. She packed a bag for herself and Ethan, left a note for her landlord, and let Elena drive them to the estate. The house looked different without Dante's presence. Less fortress, more museum. Rosa met them at the door, her face lighting up like sunrise. "You came," she pulled Maya into a hug that smelled like lavender and old soap. "Oh, thank God. I was so worried." Ethan hung back, uncertain, until Rosa turned her gentle attention to him. "And you must be Ethan. Your mother has told me so much about you. Do you like cookies? I made pizzelle this morning." Within an hour, Ethan was in the kitchen with Rosa, learning to roll dough while Elena supervised. Maya stood in the doorway, watching her son laugh for the first time in days, and felt something inside her unclench. That evening, after Ethan fell asleep in one of the guest rooms, Rosa and Maya sat in the parlor with tea. "He's traveling?" Maya asked quietly. "Tokyo. Business meetings that couldn't be postponed." Rosa's hands curved around her cup. "He didn't want to go. Said he needed to be here in case I needed him. But I told him," she paused. "I told him the best thing he could do for me was to start letting go. Letting go. Of the fear, the control, the need to protect me from everything." Rosa looked directly at Maya. "You were right, what you said to him. He doesn't protect, he isolates. He's been doing it for so long, he doesn't know any other way. I shouldn't have said that. It wasn't my place." "It was exactly your place. Someone needed to." Rosa set down her tea. "My son lost himself protecting me. After his father died, after the threat started, after the first kidnapping attempt, he decided the only way to keep me safe was to build walls. And every year, those walls got higher, thicker, until I couldn't see out and he couldn't see in." Maya absorbed this. "What happened? That first kidnapping attempt?" Rosa's face clouded. "I was grocery shopping. Stupid, normal, everyday grocery shopping. They grabbed me in the parking lot. Dante was 23. He got me back within 6 hours, but..." She touched her wrist absently, where a faint scar circled like a bracelet. "He was never the same after. Neither was I."
"I'm sorry."
"Don't be. What I'm trying to tell you is, you've done something I couldn't do. You made him question whether all this protection is actually protecting anything." Rosa leaned forward. "Stay. Not forever. Just until the media loses interest. Let me pay you back for the kindness you showed me." "You don't owe me anything." "Then let me give you something anyway," Rosa smiled. "Let me give you peace. God knows this house has little enough of it." The days that followed were strange and surprisingly gentle. Maya helped Rosa with small tasks, organizing the library, tending the garden, preparing meals. In return, Rosa taught her to make pasta from scratch, shared stories about Dante as a boy, and slowly revealed the woman she'd been before fear had defined her life. Maya also discovered something unexpected. The household staff were terrified. Not of Dante specifically, but of making mistakes, of being noticed, of existing too loudly in the spaces between orders. One morning, Maya found the young housekeeper, Carmen, crying in the laundry room over a wine stain she couldn't remove from a tablecloth. "Hey, it's okay," Maya said gently. "It's just fabric. Mr. Marino will be upset. Everything has to be perfect. When does he get upset about things like this?" Carmen blinked. "He doesn't. But he could." Maya realized then that the fear wasn't based on Dante's actions. It was based on possibility. The staff had been trained to anticipate anger that never came, to avoid mistakes that would never be punished, to live in constant tension over imaginary consequences. "How long have you worked here?" Maya asked. 3 years. "Has Mr. Marino ever yelled at you? Threatened you?"
"No."
"But everyone knows what he's capable of. Everyone knows his reputation," Maya corrected gently. "That's not the same as knowing him." That afternoon, with Rosa's blessing, Maya did something that probably should have waited for Dante's permission. She gathered the household staff, 6 people who kept the estate running, and organized a literacy class in the unused dining room. Carmen wanted to get her GED. The gardener, Miguel, wanted to learn English better. Elena wanted to help but didn't know how. So Maya taught them. Simple lessons, patient corrections, encouragement freely given. Rosa watched from the doorway, tears in her eyes. "You're bringing life back into this house," she whispered. "I'm just helping people who want to learn."
No.
"You're showing them they're allowed to want things.
To grow.
To be more than invisible." Rosa squeezed her hand. "That's what my son forgot. That the people around him are people, not chess pieces." When Dante called that night to check on his mother, Rosa told him about the classes. There was a long silence on the other end. "Is she still there?" he asked finally. "Maya?"
Yes.
"And she's changing everything." Another pause. Then, quietly, "Good." Maya didn't know he'd said that. Didn't know he'd stayed on the phone after Rosa hung up, sitting in a Tokyo hotel room, staring at the city lights and wondering how a woman he barely knew had dismantled more walls in a week than he'd built in a decade. All she knew was that for the first time since the airport, she could breathe. And that sometimes, peace came from the strangest places. Dante returned on a Tuesday night unannounced. Maya was in the library with Ethan, reading aloud from a book about dragons, when she heard the front door open. Her son's body tensed beside her. He'd grown comfortable in the estate's quiet rhythms, but the return of its master changed the atmosphere immediately. Footsteps in the hall. Then Dante appeared in the doorway, still in his travel clothes, looking exhausted and somehow smaller than she remembered. His eyes found hers. "Miss Jen." "Mr. Marino." She closed the book. "Your mother's asleep. She wasn't expecting you until tomorrow." "I finished early." He looked at Ethan, and his expression softened. "You must be Ethan."
I'm Dante.
Her son nodded but didn't speak, pressing closer to Maya's side. "I'll let you settle in," Maya said, standing. "Come on, buddy. Time for bed." "Maya," Dante's voice stopped her. "Could we talk? After?" It wasn't a request she could refuse. 20 minutes later, after tucking Ethan in and checking on Rosa, Maya found Dante in his study. The room was dark wood and leather, dominated by a desk that probably cost more than her car. He stood at the window, tie loosened, drink in hand. "You've been teaching my staff," he said without turning around. Maya's stomach tightened. "Your mother approved it. If I overstepped." "You didn't." He turned to face her. "Carmen wrote her name today. In English. Elena showed me. She said it was the first time she'd done that without help." Maya nodded slowly, unsure where this was going. "In 3 years of working for me, I never knew Carmen couldn't write in English." His voice was quiet, almost wondering. "I never asked. Never noticed. You had other concerns. Did I? Or did I just stop seeing people as people?" He set down his drink. "My mother told me about the classes. About how you're helping Miguel with his citizenship test. About how you convinced Elena she should go back to school for her nursing degree. I just listened to what they wanted." "That's exactly my point." Dante moved closer. "You listened. I employed them. There's a difference." Before Maya could respond, Franco burst through the door, phone in hand, expression grim. "Boss, we have a problem. Castellano's brother just made bail." Dante's entire demeanor shifted, tension flooding back into his shoulders.
What? How?
Technicality. Evidence handling issue. His lawyer got the judge too. Franco stopped, glancing at Maya. "Should we do this elsewhere?" "No." Dante's voice was ice. "How much time do we have?" He made threats in the courthouse. Specifically mentioned finishing what Victor started. "We're hearing chatter that he's gathering people." Maya's blood ran cold. "What does that mean?" Dante and Franco exchanged a look. Finally, Dante said, "It means they're planning to hit this house. Tonight. Tomorrow, soon. Then we go to the police. The FBI. They're already investigating. And it will take time. Warrants, procedures, bureaucracy." Dante's jaw clenched. "Time my mother doesn't have." Maya saw it then, the old pattern reasserting itself. The walls going back up. The violence rising to meet violence.
So what? She asked.
You're going to do what you always do? Fight them? Kill them? Start a war? If I have to. No. The word came out sharper than Maya intended. You don't have to. Miss Jun, with respect, you don't understand. I understand that you're about to make the same mistake again. Maya stepped forward. Your mother is recovering because she finally feels safe enough to heal. Ethan is sleeping peacefully for the first time in weeks. Your staff is learning to dream again. And you're about to destroy all of that because violence is the only language you know. Dante's eyes flashed. What would you have me do? Let them come? Let them take her again?
No.
I'd have you be smarter than them. Maya pulled out her phone. You said Castellano's brother made threats in a courthouse. On record. That means the FBI has cause to increase surveillance. You said there's chatter. That means you have intelligence. Give it to them. And then what? Hope they move fast enough. Yes, Maya met his eyes. For once in your life, trust that the legal system might actually work. That you don't have to be the judge, jury, and executioner. Franco cleared his throat. Boss, she might be right. If we hand over everything we've got on the Castellano network, locations, financials, communication logs, the feds could move on it tonight. Or they could fumble it. And then my mother dies. Or you could fumble it, Maya said quietly. You could shoot first and ask questions later, and your mother could get caught in the crossfire. Or Ethan. Or Carmen. Or Miguel. Or any of the people in this house who trust you to keep them safe. She watched him struggle with it, the old instincts warring with something new. Something her presence had planted and Rosa had watered. Finally, Dante pulled out his phone. Get Detective Walsh on the line. And the FBI agent handling the Castellano case. He looked at Maya. If this doesn't work, if they don't move fast enough, then we'll deal with it together, Maya said. But at least try it this way first. Please. What followed was 2 hours of phone calls, data transfers, and tense negotiations. Dante handed over intelligence he'd been gathering for months, enough to dismantle the Castellano organization completely. In return, the FBI agreed to immediate protective custody for Rosa and increased surveillance on the estate. By midnight, federal agents had arrested 6 members of Castellano's crew attempting to gather weapons for an assault. By 2 a.m., they'd raided 3 safe houses and seized enough evidence to ensure no one in the Castellano family would see daylight for decades. And Dante Marino, notorious crime boss, had done it all without firing a single shot. He stood at his study window as dawn broke, watching FBI vehicles finally clear out. Maya found him there, still awake, still processing. You did the right thing, she said. I let someone else fight my battle.
No.
You fought it smarter. There's a difference. Maya stood beside him. Your mother is safe. Your house is intact. No one died. That's winning, Mr. Marino. He looked at her, really looked at her, and something in his expression cracked open. How do you do that? Do what? Make the impossible seem simple. Make me want to be different. Maya felt her cheeks warm. I don't do anything. I just remind you that you already are different. You just forgot. Outside, the sun climbed higher, painting the estate in shades of gold. Inside, Rosa was waking up safe. Ethan was sleeping peacefully. And Dante Marino was learning, slowly, that control didn't have to mean fear. That sometimes, the bravest thing was letting go. 3 weeks passed in a strange sort of peace. The media moved on to newer scandals. The FBI closed their protective detail, satisfied that the Castellano threat was neutralized. Maya's apartment was repaired, and slowly, carefully, her life began to reassemble itself. But it was different now. She was different. On a quiet Thursday morning, Maya found herself in the estate's garden with Rosa, helping plant tulip bulbs for spring. Ethan was inside with Elena, practicing his multiplication tables. Everything felt almost normal, except nothing was normal anymore. You're thinking about leaving, Rosa said without looking up from the soil. Maya's hand stilled. How did you know? Because you've stopped unpacking. Your suitcase has been half-zipped for 3 days. Rosa sat back on her heels, brushing dirt from her hands. And because you keep looking at my son, like you're memorizing him. Heat flooded Maya's cheeks. I don't. It's all right. I understand. Rosa's smile was sad but genuine. You have a life to get back to. A real life. This house, this world, it's not yours and it shouldn't be. I'm not leaving because I want to, Maya said quietly. I'm leaving because I have to.
For Ethan.
For myself. I know, Rosa touched her hand. But you should know, you saved more than just me. You saved my son from becoming the monster everyone thought he was. He was never a monster.
No.
But he was becoming one. Slowly, day by day, choice by choice, Rosa's eyes grew distant. After his father died, Dante made a decision. He decided that power was the only real protection. That fear was the only guarantee of safety. And for 10 years, he built his life on that foundation. What changed? You did, Rosa squeezed her hand. You showed him that kindness isn't weakness. That trusting people isn't foolish. That there are things in this world worth more than control. Maya thought about Dante's face when he'd chosen to call the FBI instead of his soldiers. The way he'd listened to Carmen talk about her GED dreams. How he'd sat with Ethan yesterday, helping him build a Lego castle without once checking his phone. I only helped, Maya said. He did the changing. Then help him one more time. Rosa's voice grew urgent. Tell him goodbye properly. Don't just leave a note and disappear. He deserves better than that. Maya found Dante in his study that evening, reviewing documents that probably contained more secrets than she wanted to know. He looked up when she entered, and something like relief crossed his face. I thought you might have already left, he said. Not yet. Maya closed the door behind her. But soon. Tomorrow, actually. He set down his pen slowly. Where will you go? Back to my apartment. Then I'll start looking for a new job. Ethan needs to get into a new school before winter break. She forced herself to meet his eyes. We need to get back to normal. Normal, Dante repeated the word like it was foreign. What's that like? Boring mostly. Bills and homework, and wondering if you remembered to buy milk, Maya smiled faintly. The opposite of all this. Sounds peaceful. It is. Dante stood, moving to the window, his favorite refuge, she'd learned. A place to think without being watched. I owe you more than I can repay. My mother, my soul, probably. You gave me back things I didn't even know I'd lost. You don't owe me anything. I owe you everything, he turned to face her. Which is why I'm not going to ask you to stay. The words hung between them, weighted with everything unsaid. Even though you want to, Maya said softly. Even though I want to, his voice was rough. Because asking you to stay would mean asking you to live in my world. And you deserve better than that. Ethan deserves better. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. For what it's worth, this wasn't what I expected. What did you expect? I don't know. Danger, maybe.
Fear.
The things the newspapers said, she smiled through the tears. Not literacy classes and tulip bulbs and a man who's trying so hard to be good. I'm not good, Maya. I've done things. I know. And I'm not saying those things don't matter. But I also know that people aren't just the worst things they've done, she moved closer. You're trying to change. That has to count for something. Dante pulled an envelope from his desk drawer. I want you to have this. If it's money. It's not, he held it out. It's a letter. For Ethan's school. From a very wealthy, anonymous donor who's establishing a scholarship fund for displaced students. He'll have his spot back, plus full tuition through high school. Maya stared at the envelope. Dante, I can't. Yes, you can. It's not for me personally. It's from a charitable foundation my mother has been wanting to start for years. You just gave her the excuse to actually do it, his expression softened. Let me do this. Not as payment. As gratitude. Maya took the envelope with shaking hands. Thank you. There's something else. Dante pulled out a second envelope, this one thicker. A recommendation letter for any job you apply for. References from 3 Fortune 500 CEOs who owe me favors. A clean background check that makes no mention of the Marino family. and a notarized statement from me saying our interaction was purely circumstantial and you bear no connection to my business affairs. You're erasing yourself from my life. I'm giving you back your life, he corrected gently. The one you deserve to have before you stop to help a confused old woman in an airport. Maya clutched both envelopes. I don't regret it. Any of it. Neither do I. Dante took a step closer, and for a moment, Maya thought he might reach for her. Instead, he just looked at her with an expression that broke her heart. Maybe in another life we could have. Don't, Maya's voice cracked. Don't make this harder. You're right. I'm sorry, he stepped back, rebuilding walls she'd worked so hard to break down. Goodbye, Maya-chan. Thank you for reminding me what the world used to look like. Goodbye, Dante Marino. She turned before she could change her mind. I hope you find what you're looking for. I already did, he said quietly. But it was never mine to keep. Maya left the study and didn't look back. In the morning, she and Ethan would drive away from the estate, back to their small apartment, back to normal. But as she packed her suitcase that night, Rose's words echoed. You make him remember what peace feels like. And Maya wondered if leaving was really the right choice. Or just the safe one. For months passed like a slow exhale. Maya found a new job, better than the old one, thanks to those reference letters Dante had provided. Ethan returned to his school, scholarship in place, and slowly made new friends who knew nothing about warehouses or mafia bosses. Life became routine again. Comfortable. Safe. But on quiet nights, Maya found herself thinking about Rose's laugh. About the way Dante's shoulders had relaxed when he chose peace over violence. About tulip bulbs waiting beneath soil to bloom in spring. She told herself it was just residual anxiety. Trauma bonding. The natural aftermath of an intense experience. She almost believed it. Then, on a gray March afternoon, a package arrived. It was small, wrapped in brown paper with no return address. Maya's hands trembled as she opened it, half expecting what? A threat? A warning? Some reminder that you could never really leave Dante Marino's world. Inside was a plane ticket to Seattle. First class. Departure date. The following Saturday, exactly 4 months after the flight she'd missed. Tucked beneath the ticket was a small white lily, pressed and preserved, still fragrant despite being dried. And a note in handwriting she recognized. Elegant, careful, distinctly Rose's. Maya, you missed your flight that day, but maybe fate meant you to land here instead. I'm doing well. My memory comes and goes, but the important things stay. I remember kindness. I remember you.
Dante has changed. Really changed.
He started a foundation for families affected by crime. Both sides. Victims and perpetrators' families. He's trying to break cycles, not continue them.
He asks about you.
Never directly. But a mother knows. The ticket is a gift, no strings attached. Take the trip you missed. Go to your conference. Live your life. But if you find yourself thinking about an old woman who loves crosswords or a complicated man who's learning to be simple, you know where we are. The garden is beautiful this year. The tulips bloomed. With love, Rosa. P.S. He doesn't know I sent this. He'd probably be furious if he knew. But some things are worth the risk, remember. Maya read the note 3 times, tears streaming down her face. She looked at the ticket, Seattle, the conference she'd sacrificed, the promotion that never came. Everything she'd lost, now offered back like a second chance. But underneath everything, she heard Rose's real message. You changed us. Did we change you too? That evening, Maya called her mother. Can you watch Ethan this weekend? Something came up. Work. Maya looked at the ticket, the pressed lily, the note that smelled faintly of lavender. Something like that. Saturday morning, Maya stood at the airport. The same terminal, the same chaos, the same departure board. But this time, she wasn't rushing. This time, she had time. She checked in, went through security, and found herself at Gate C, 47 with 45 minutes to spare. The same gate where her life had changed. Maya pulled out her phone and stared at the number she'd never deleted. Her thumb hovered over it for a long moment. Then she dialed. He answered on the second ring. Maya? Just her name, but it carried everything: surprise, hope, fear. I got a package, she said. From your mother. A long pause. I didn't know she was going to. I know, Maya smiled. She said you'd be furious. I'm not furious, his voice softened. Are you? Are you calling to say goodbye? Before the flight. I'm calling to say thank you. For the ticket. For the closure. For letting me go. You were never mine to hold. Maya watched travelers rushing past, everyone with somewhere to be. You know what I realized? That day in the airport, I thought I was missing my flight. But maybe I wasn't missing anything. Maybe I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Maya. The conference doesn't matter. The promotion I never got doesn't matter, she took a breath. What matters is that a confused old woman needed help, and I stopped. And that one choice led to everything else. The good and the bad. More bad than good for you. No, Maya said it firmly. I lost a job I didn't love. I left a school that expelled my son for something he didn't do. I walked away from a life that was safe but small. She paused. And I found out that I'm braver than I thought. That kindness matters. That people can change. Silence on the other end. Then, quietly, are you getting on that plane? Maya looked at her ticket, looked at the gate, looked at the departure board. I don't know yet, she said honestly. But I wanted you to know, I don't regret any of it. Not the airport, not the warehouse, not the goodbye. You and Rosa, you taught me that some risks are worth taking. Final boarding call for Flight 447 to Seattle. The announcement crackled overhead. That's my flight, Maya said. Then you should go. Dante. Go to Seattle, Maya.
Take the trip.
Live your life, his voice was rough. But if you ever find yourself back in Philadelphia, you know where to find us. The door's always open. The garden's waiting. Maya closed her eyes. Tell Rosa I said thank you. For everything. I will. And Dante?
Keep changing. Keep trying.
It matters. Only because you showed me it was possible. The final boarding call came again. Maya stood, ticket in hand, at a crossroads that felt familiar. She could get on the plane, return to Seattle, to conferences, to the career she'd worked so hard to build, to safety and normalcy and everything she'd fought to get back. Or she could walk away from the gate one more time, choose something uncertain and complicated and real. Maya looked at the pressed lily in her hand, still fragrant after all these months. She thought about Rosa's smile, about Ethan laughing in the estate's kitchen, about Dante's face when he chose peace over violence. She thought about fate and choice and the difference between the two. Then Maya Chen smiled, made her decision, and started walking. The gate agent called her name one last time. But Maya was already gone. Toward baggage claim, toward the exit, toward a black sedan she somehow knew would be waiting. Because some flights were worth missing. And some landings were worth the fall. 6 months later, in a garden full of lilies and tulips, an old woman watched her son teach a boy how to plant tomatoes. Nearby, a woman with kind eyes poured lemonade and smiled. I told you, Rosa said to no one in particular. Some things are worth the risk. And in that moment, surrounded by flowers and laughter and second chances, everyone knew she was right.
The end.